Hey, want a cookie? Oh, I know you just ate, so you're craving something a little sweet. Besides, one cookie isn't gonna kill you. How about half? Just a bite? Bite it. Bite it. Bite it.
Food noise isn't fair, but Mochi Health is. Your affordable GLP-1 source that puts you on a path to successful weight loss by quieting food noise.
Bite it.
Shh. Learn more at joinmochi.com. Mochi members have access to licensed physicians and nutritionists. Results may vary.
You know that thing where you get an amazing pair of shoes at a really great price and want to tell everyone about it? Yeah, so do we. Here at Designer Shoe Warehouse, we'll give you something to brag about. Like the latest styles from brands you love, or the trends everyone's obsessing over, or shoes that make you feel like, well, you. So go ahead, show off a little. Find shoes that get you at prices that get your budget. Head to your DSW store or DSW.com today. DSW, let us surprise you.
Voices for Justice is a podcast that uses adult language and discusses sensitive and potentially triggering topics, including violence, abuse, and murder. This podcast may not be appropriate for younger audiences. All parties are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Some names have been changed or omitted per their request or for safety purposes. Listener discretion is advised.
My name is Sarah Turney, and this is Voices for Justice. Today, I'm discussing the case of Isabella Comas. This is a very new case out of Arizona, and one that desperately needs your help. In early January 2026, 21-year-old Isabella Comas left a friend's house, stopped by a convenience store, and hasn't been seen since. Luckily, it does seem that she has some pretty good friends and family in her corner. She was reported missing nearly immediately. Her family's hired a private investigator, and police do have a man they're calling a person of interest in custody on a pretty chilling related charge. This is one of those cases where it really seems that investigators just need a few more pieces of this puzzle to give her loved ones more answers. So while this is a new and developing case, I wanted to bring it to you as soon as possible so you can help share Isabella's story and hopefully help generate a lead that'll bring her home. This is the case of Isabella Comas. It's about 3 p.m. on Sunday, January 11th, 2026 in Avondale, Arizona. It's west of Phoenix. 21-year-old Isabella Comas just left a friend's house. She's at about the intersection of 111th Avenue and Van Buren Street. From here, she travels west, just up the road a bit, maybe about a mile to the nearest Quick Trip store. And Isabella's hard to miss. While she's just 5'3", she also has bright pink hair and a beautiful smile. She's wearing a white shirt with a black logo, blue pants with a white stripe, and sandals. Of course, nobody knows what's going through her head at this point, but from the surveillance video still released by law enforcement, she does appear to be smiling. It's a grainy image, but that's what I see. This still frame appears to be when she's checking out, and on the counter it looks like she might be buying a few different drinks, maybe some caffeinated beverages since she has a shift to work. In fact, she's supposed to pick up her friend and coworker, Trinity, and drive them both to work, but she never shows. Trinity seems to know that something is wrong and reports her missing to the police. Unfortunately, Isabella also misses her shift the following day on the 12th. And that same day, Isabella's phone is found in a rather odd series of events that are still a bit unclear right now. But here's what we know. Her phone was found at a recycling center in Phoenix, near 38th Avenue and Indian School Road. According to reporting by multiple news outlets, the phone was found by a, quote, private citizen. Then, somehow, in a way that's not been made public yet, that private citizen hands Isabella's phone to her boyfriend, 39-year-old Tommy Rodriguez. He then returns the phone to Isabella's family, who then hands it off to police. Of course, having the phone, they can put some pieces together. They were also able to access her data from her Life 360 tracking app. Now, if you aren't familiar with it, it's a popular location sharing app. It's designed to give those closest to you real-time updates on your location. So here's what they found. On January 11th, the day that Isabella went missing, her phone moved from Avondale to Tommy Rodriguez's home in Phoenix, then to an industrial area in El Mirage that evening. We also know that at some point the tracking app was manually turned off. Born and raised here, I am familiar with these areas. Basically, her phone moves east to Phoenix, and then about 30 minutes or so back west out to the El Mirage area. Again, we don't have all the details, but we know at this point authorities issue a turquoise alert for Isabella. Now, I've talked about the turquoise alert before, but as a refresher, it was established after the disappearance and murder of 14-year-old Emily Pike in Arizona in 2025. She unfortunately did not meet the criteria for an Amber Alert or a Silver Alert and was labeled a runaway. Many people believe that if there was an alert put out for Emily, she may be alive today. If you do want to hear more about Emily's case, I have covered it in past episodes. It remains unsolved, and it's also in need of more media coverage, so please listen. But going back, on May 13, 2025, Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs signed in Emily's Law, House Bill 2281, and that eventually became the Turquoise Alert. The original purpose was to fill the gaps in missing person alerts for Native Americans. However, the scope was ultimately changed to be more inclusive before passing it into law. But here is the criteria for a Turquoise Alert. A missing person report is entered into law enforcement databases. The person is under the age of 65. They also have to make sure that local resources have been exhausted, like a missing person report entry into NCIC, BOLOs, searches, cell phone records pulled, etc. The circumstances also have to be unexplained or suspicious, and they have to have enough descriptive information to aid in recovery efforts. Once all this criteria is met, the alert will be issued through the emergency alert systems, the Arizona Department of Transportation, an All Points Bulletin, the DPS Alerts website, and social media. So it's kind of like an Amber Alert but with no abduction, and the alert system isn't really as intense. I can tell you that I did not get a push notification to my phone for Isabella. But even though this is a new alert system for Arizona, I think that this case proves that it works. Because the very next day, thanks to a tip which came directly from the alert, they found Isabella's car. Unfortunately, what they found inside was extremely concerning. This episode of Voices for Justice is brought to you by Quince. I've been trying to be more intentional about what I wear each day. I'm leaning into pieces that feel effortless, comfortable, and still put together, and Quince has been my go-to. The fabrics feel elevated, the fits are flattering, and everything just works without overthinking it. They use premium materials like 100% European linen, organic cotton, and ultra-soft denim. And the best part? Everything is priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. They work directly with ethical factories and cut out the middlemen, so you're paying for quality and craftsmanship, not brand markup. I recently just ordered their tiered linen dress, of course in black. I wanted to pair it with one of my favorite pairs of brown wedges. The problem was, I didn't have a brown purse, so I got that from Quince too. It's one of my favorite outfits. It's easy, effortless, and feels amazing, especially as we're getting a little bit warmer here in Phoenix. Refresh your everyday with luxury you'll actually use. Head to quince.com/justice for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/justice for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/justice. This episode of Voices for Justice is sponsored by Chewy. If you have pets, you probably know about Chewy, and you also know that when they say that they have everything you need to keep your pet happy and healthy, they're not messing around. To keep them happy, Chewy has over 100,000 products from all the brands my pets love at prices I love. To keep them healthy, Chewy offers pet prescriptions, pet insurance, telehealth vet visits, and they're even rolling out vet clinics across the country. I've been shopping with them for a very long time. And in addition to the auto-ship feature that gets the dog's food to them every single month, I also love to experiment with different treats. But I'm a bit picky. For me, it has to be high quality with simple ingredients. I recently picked up treats from Shepherd Boy Farms that are 100% just chicken breast. Popcorn and Heber are already obsessed. Chewy has everything you need to keep your pet happy and healthy. And right now, you can save $20 on your first order and get free shipping by going to chewpanions.chewy.com/Sarah E. Turney. That's chewpanions.chewy.com/Sarah E. Turney to save $20 on your first order with free shipping. chewpanions.chewy.com/Sarah E. Turney. Minimum purchase required. New customers only. Terms and conditions apply. See site for complete details. On Tuesday the 13th, Isabella's red 2011 Hyundai Sonata was found near 67th Avenue and Indian School Road. This isn't too far from where her cell phone was found. The car did have extensive damage, though. And according to court documents, investigators also found red stains that are, quote, consistent with blood stains, end quote. These were found within multiple areas of the vehicle. It was also found partially deconstructed, if you will. The passenger seat, glove compartment, and trunk lining were all removed. However, the headrest from the passenger seat was found inside the vehicle. They also found trash bags, gas canisters, and a tarp, in addition to bows and arrows. Investigators added that a variety of tools were found that could, quote, be used to seriously hurt someone, end quote. Obviously, this is a very scary situation. As of recording this episode, we don't have results about whose blood it was, but police assume Isabella has been hurt. Officer Daniel Benavidez from the Avondale Police Department told Nicole Carrison from Fox 10 News, quote, right now we consider Comas to be seriously injured, and it's very important that we find her as quickly as possible, end quote. So, of course, the million-dollar question is who was driving this vehicle? And through surveillance video and license plate readers, they seem to have a pretty good idea of who may have been driving it. Isabella's boyfriend, Tommy Rodriguez. Now, investigators have said that this is a guess at this point. Essentially, the person they saw driving Isabella's car matches the description of Tommy Rodriguez. As of recording this episode, they have not said definitively that this is Tommy. But let's talk about the route. This man, maybe Tommy Rodriguez, was seen driving Isabella's car on the morning of January 12th in Globe, Arizona. That's about 2 hours east of Avondale where Isabella was last seen. Flock safety cameras then captured the car returning to the Phoenix area. We don't have specifics on exactly where this person was last seen, but we do know the vehicle was found the following day in Phoenix on the 13th. Now, I think it's very worth noting here that this is a super busy area. There are many businesses and residential neighborhoods nearby. I mean, honestly, this is one of the busiest areas in the valley, so I just want to stress that the car was not abandoned in some desolate area. And at this point, there's no denying that all eyes are on Tommy Rodriguez. Unfortunately, it seems that he'd gotten a one-way ticket out of the state, though. It doesn't look good. But investigators were able to find him, and he returned the following day, telling them that he'd only left for work. When he returns, he is promptly arrested for the theft of Isabella's car and criminal damage to the vehicle, nothing related to Isabella's disappearance directly. He is currently being held on a $50,000 bond. He has maintained his innocence and says he's been cooperating in the investigation. However, Tommy does have a very concerning criminal history that we need to explore, including stalking, in which he threatened his ex-girlfriend with weapons like a machete and a hammer. But even more concerning are his charges for second-degree murder. According to reporting by 12 News in Phoenix, in 2002, when Tommy was only 15 years old, he and 3 friends planned to rob an apartment that had previously been occupied by a drug dealer. This drug dealer was evicted for illegal activity, but it seems that Tommy Rodriguez was there for more than just money or drugs. He told his friends that he wanted to shoot someone, and he went to the residence armed with his father's rifle. However, like I said, the drug dealer was no longer there. Instead, it was 21-year-old nursing student Jesus Romaldo Beltran Escobar who was at the door. Rodriguez opened fire and killed him. Tommy Rodriguez and his 3 friends were arrested not long after, and he was charged with second-degree murder. He took a plea deal and served 18 years, but this didn't seem to be enough to reform Rodriguez. In 2020, when he was on parole, he was arrested again for several charges, including aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. That appears to be after an argument with his romantic partner, which, of course, is extremely concerning when we think of Isabella. So again, obviously investigators want to talk to Tommy Rodriguez, and they do. We don't know all the details, But according to that same reporting by Fox 10 News, he tells them that the morning Isabella went missing, they got into a fight. This detail was also confirmed by a friend. Officer Daniel Benavidez of the Avondale Police Department said, quote, "We put all these circumstances together. The idea that Isabella was last seen in her vehicle. She was last known to be around her boyfriend, and she had a fight with her boyfriend. And that's a circumstance that alerts us as well." End quote. At this point, Tommy Rodriguez is officially labeled a person of interest in this case, and law enforcement obviously considers Isabella's disappearance as suspicious.
Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why customers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
What they did to your family, you're lucky to make it out alive.
Streaming on Peacock.
These men are going to come after me. Taking them out is my only chance.
Put a bullet in her head.
From the co-creator of Ozark.
Looks like a family was running drugs.
Execution-style killing, it's rare for the keys. And it leads on who they might have been running for.
The cartel killed my family. I'm gonna kill them. All of them.
MIA. Streaming now. Only on Peacock.
At the end of January, investigators along with friends, family, and volunteers held a series of searches for Isabella in Globe, Arizona. That's in Gila County, actually not too far from where Emily Pike's remains were found. Isabella's family has also hired a private investigator, Chris Castorena. He's helping them track down tips and lead the searches. On Saturday, January 31st, he led the search starting in a Walmart store in Globe. Here he is talking to 12 News about that search.
Today we're doing a search and rescue mission for Isabella. She's been missing since January 11th, and there was indications that she was here in Globe at some point. So right now, law enforcement is here. They're going to help out if need be. We have a huge volunteer base. Isabella was a very kind soul. She's loving. Her family says that she's very caring. Her friends miss her very much. Everyone says she's a wonderful person. This location, there was indications she was here at some point, and I can't get into all the details. This is a criminal investigation, so I don't want to say too much. But I can say she was here at some point, and we're trying to find her.
They had about 100 people out searching for Isabella. Even strangers joined in to lend their expertise and equipment, like dirt bikes, side-by-sides, jeeps, and four-wheelers. Now, this is a very rough area. Basically large patches of desert surrounded by mountains. So they're climbing, looking in washes, and looking down trails that regular vehicles can't access. They also used drones to look from above, and had a search dog, Luna, on the ground. Volunteers were instructed to not touch any evidence should they find it, and instead notify law enforcement so they could follow the proper chain of custody. Nothing was found, though. Not a piece of her clothing, not a strand of pink hair. There was just nothing. Unfortunately, that is pretty much where Isabella's case is today. It feels like we know so much, and there's no denying that it's obvious that law enforcement thinks that there's a link between Tommy Rodriguez and Isabella going missing. And I'm not just saying that. In an interview with Ashley Holden at ABC 15, retired Phoenix Police Department missing persons detective Stuart Summershoe said he believes authorities are most likely working Isabella's case as a no-body homicide at this point. Which brings me right to our call to action. Please share this case. While Isabella did get a good pop of media when she first went missing, her case has largely been buried by the 24/7 news cycle. I know I say this a lot, but it really does feel like the answers are within grasp, and that investigators just need a few more pieces to complete this puzzle. As a reminder, Isabella Comas was 21 years old when she was last seen in Avondale, Arizona on January 11th, 2026. She is Hispanic, 5'3", weighs about 110 pounds, and has brown eyes and pink hair. She was last seen wearing a white shirt with a black logo, blue pants with a white stripe, and sandals. Her vehicle is a red 2011 Hyundai Sonata, Arizona license plate 2EA6LW. It has been recovered, but police are still looking for any witnesses who may have seen Isabella or her vehicle. Anyone with information is asked to call the Avondale Police Department at 623-333-7001. But as always, thank you, I love you, and I'll talk to you next time. Voices for Justice is hosted and produced by me, Sarah Turney, and is a Voices for Justice media original. If you love what we do here, please don't forget to follow, rate, and review the show in your podcast player. It's an easy and free way to help us and help more people find these cases in need of justice.
Zootopia 2 has come home to Disney+.
Let's go!
Get ready for a new case.
We're gonna crack this case and prove we're the greatest partners of all time!
New friends.
You are...
Gary the Snake.
And your last name?
The Snake.
Dream team.
And new habitats.
Zootopia has a secret reptile population.
You can watch the record-breaking phenomenon at home.
You're clearly working at
Zootopia 2, now available on Disney+, rated PG.
Welcome to the Secret After Show. The studio door is open, and our emotional support puppies, Popcorn and Heber, are in the room. Now, before we get into the case, I actually do have some updates for you guys. First, if you guys follow me on social media, you've probably seen that I have announced a new show that I'm doing. This has been in the works for so long. I'm not even going to lie. It's been a long time coming. I feel like I've been teasing it for over a year, and I'm just so excited to be able to tell you guys about it. So the new show is called The Final Hours. It premieres on Monday, February 23rd, and you guys, I finally have a co-host. This is something I've wanted to do for a long time. I have now done, 2 podcasts? I'm like, how many podcasts have I done? Of course, Voices for Justice and Disappearances. I did those solo. And while I do enjoy making shows solo, obviously, going into this project, I really wanted to explore the idea of having a co-host and just kind of see what that dynamic would be like. And I, of course, you guys know I'm very picky when it comes to true crime. I really wanted a co-host that has been firsthand affected by true crime. I think that there is not another show out there, like this, where there are 2 people directly impacted by true crime that are telling these unsolved stories still in need of justice. And you guys, I'm like, drum roll, please. My co-host is Crime with Court. You may know her from TikTok. That's where she and me met, or she and I. Yeah, that's where we met. A very long time ago, many years ago. And if you guys follow her, you may know about her story. I will say that's hers to tell. But like me, she dealt with a family crime in which one family member is the victim and the other is the perpetrator. And I just think that there's something so special, like in the worst way, right? Special and unique about 2 people firsthand affected in these ways, right? A victim and a perpetrator in our family telling these stories. So go check her out. Again, Crime with Court, if you want to hear her story in her own words. But yes, I am so excited that we are going to be hosting this show together. Again, it's called The Final Hours. And you guys, I think you're going to be excited because if you guys remember, you guys love Disappearances. I love Disappearances. Unfortunately, the show was canceled. However, this new team working on The Final Hours with us it is largely comprised of the disappearances team. So, of course, it's going to be a totally different vibe and a totally different show, but with the same core people at the helm. So I'm really excited. I really think you guys are going to like it. And overall, of course, I really think that we're going to be able to help even more families. Like that's, even though and I'm going to talk about it, I am insanely busy. I love being able to have an additional show where I can feature more cases. I always feel like I can't get to enough of them, that there is a never-ending list of cases that I will never be able to get to. So again, I'm just really excited to be able to do more, to finally have a co-host and see what that dynamic is going to be like. Of course, we've recorded already, and I think it's a good dynamic, but I'm really excited to hear from you guys. And again, just excited to expand my reach in helping people. So again, it's called The Final Hours. It's me and Crime with Court, and it's going to premiere on February 23rd. Also, please, I will shamelessly ask you to go follow the show either on, wherever you listen, right? Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen, because it does help more people see the show. But on to, you guys, all these updates I have for you. I wanted to let you know also, in about the next month or so, we are moving, I'm going to get emotional. We're moving forward with the first search for Alyssa. As you can tell, it's a very emotional subject for me, and I just feel so blessed. I'm working with two amazing organizations, the Gabby Petito Foundation and Light the Way, who have helped really handle everything for me, because I consider myself to be a pretty strong person, right? Not that families have to be or should be, but when it comes to finding Alyssa's remains and physically being out there and being that person, it destroys me. I can't pinpoint exactly what it is. It's just one thing that has always been super hard for me. Getting the planning together, super overwhelming. Again, the thought of being out there is just really hard. But it's necessary. There's never been a search for Alyssa, and to be totally honest, I feel like, it's in large part my fault. I've been delaying it because it's so hard. I didn't know where to start. It's so emotionally overwhelming. And to be honest, I feel like I should have never had to do this. I've gone to the Phoenix Police several times with resources to get this done, and they've turned me down every single time. But again, with the help of these wonderful organizations, it is moving forward. And while I thought, we all did actually, we all thought at first this would be, a big thing that we'd publicize and it would be open to the public for everybody to join in. But after meeting with the amazing experts that are helping us with this, they have said that it's best to keep it small, to keep it private. So at this time, it is not open to the public. I don't want to give a date and a location, but you guys know that when it's over, I will tell you all about it. And, to be totally realistic, and again, we've, as a team, we've all talked about this. I think we all know that the odds of finding Alyssa are basically slim to none. And I wanted to be super upfront with them about that, because I don't ever want to waste resources, even if it's my loved one. These people are so amazing, and there's so many cases that need help, and certainly so many cases that have a better pinpointed area than we do in Alyssa's case, right? That's the unfortunate reality, is that there's so many patches of desert and so many stretches of land, that she could be on. So we had that very frank discussion that finding Alyssa is very unlikely, but not impossible. However, we do think it's very likely we'll find someone or something that can point to someone in the area we're looking at. So, of course, my greatest hope is that we find Alyssa and bring her home. But at the very least, like we saw in the Gabby Petito case, I really do think that we have a good chance of finding someone or something that can provide a family with more answers. So again, I will update you guys on all of that as soon as I can. Of course, throughout all of this, we are also filming a Netflix documentary. which is insane. I'm so grateful. And I just wanted to let you guys know that I don't have an ETA on that date yet. I don't even know when I'm gonna know. Hopefully by the end of the year, I'll have a date for you guys. But I know a lot of you have been asking. Netflix did announce that they're doing a documentary about Alyssa several months ago. So I just wanted to pop on here and tell you that we still don't know. Which is fine. I don't mind them taking their time and doing it well. As you guys know, it's the production company is Cinemart. They also did the Gabby Petito documentary and came highly recommended from her family, so I do have high hopes for this production. Last but not least, yes, you guys, I am still working on Alyssa's season, which this year is the 25th anniversary, obviously. I am pushing for that deadline in May. But it's hard. I want to make sure that this season is right instead of chasing a deadline. And that's hard when it comes to the podcasting world, right? I mean, there was a reason that we launched the first season on the date that we did for Maura Murray. And I'm trying to replicate that in Alyssa's case, but also balance that with my extreme perfectionism when it's coming to this season. So bear with me. I am still making it, but I'm trying to give myself some grace. This is a really, really hard year and time. And my God, I feel like I've been saying that for years, but between the search, between Netflix, between the 25th anniversary, between trying to get more people to talk, it's been hard, And when I did Voices for Justice Season 1, this was all, largely unexplored, right? And there were so many people willing to speak and help. And we're looking at, my gosh, 7 years later, almost at this point. And, people are ready to move on. And I understand and respect that. But I will also say that since the conclusion of the trial, which I have to go over all that in the podcast, of course, there are, some people that are more willing to speak now, who are less afraid of our father. So it's going to be different, but I think it's going to be fantastic too. I think it's going to be a raw and real continuation of Alyssa's case that shows not only the facts of her case, but what this journey looks like for so many people who've been firsthand affected by it. It's going to be so different, right? Voices for Justice Season 1 was me terrified, showing you the whole case file, trying to not have any bias as much as possible. And this season is fundamentally different. I want to tell you Alyssa's story from a completely different point of view. I am going to insert myself into it. I think when I first started telling her story, and even now I do have some of that same hesitation, I don't want it to be about me. But as we talk about, missing people in true crime and true crime cases in general, I've learned over these 7 years or whatever that families are fundamentally a part of this story, and that's okay. So I guess, in short, sorry, I've been crying and rambling so much. In short, the season is coming. I think it's going to be totally different, but also kind of in the best ways. And I will tell you that I'm about to interview somebody that has never spoken to the media, a person who was like a third sister to me and Alyssa, who I completely respected her reasons for not wanting to talk. I don't ever really talk about her, but now she's ready to talk. And I know she is a wealth of knowledge and a huge support system that you guys have never seen for me. And I'm really excited to bring you Alyssa's story in a new way and not really conclude it, right? Because I think that's the reality that I want to depict in this season is that when somebody's missing and you don't have remains, you don't have, closure or legal justice, it just lingers. And that's just the truth of it. But let's go on to the case. The first thing on my list kind of goes back to Alyssa, and I promise I didn't mean it to be this way. But it was that interview with Detective Stuart Summershoe, and I didn't mention it in the main episode, but you guys might remember that name. He is a detective who worked on Alyssa's case for over a decade, which is always, like, stunning, when I'm researching another case and he pops up to give an interview, like, in the best way. I think it's fantastic. He's retired. He's coming back to speak about these cases. It's a good thing. But I couldn't help but notice the stark similarities between the way he was talking about this case, Isabella Comas, and what he told me, what he told the sister Brandy Myers, right? Essentially, you guys can watch this interview. It's, maybe 10 minutes long with Ashley Holden at ABC 15, who is a wonderful, very caring journalist, by the way. But he essentially frames it in a very similar light. This is a no body homicide, where it's very likely that we know the perpetrator and we just need some more evidence, and perhaps some more media attention. So I couldn't help but notice these stark similarities, that this is a case. And again, let's be real. I'm not trying to unduly accuse anyone in this case, but it seems very obvious that law enforcement, considers Tommy Rodriguez to be a very likely, suspect in this case. He has been officially named a person of interest. I think we can just be frank with each other that it seems likely that he was involved in some way, if not directly at fault for this. So again, it's like a case where we think we know what happened and we just can't cross the finish line. But moving on to media discrepancies, there weren't really a lot. Some articles, kind of fudged the timeline a bit, but it was pretty easy to put together. And I think we see that with new cases. They're getting limited information, usually from like one or two sources, right? Law enforcement, the private investigator. In this case, we don't really have the family speaking out, which I completely understand, especially with it being so new. I can imagine that they're sitting back and hoping that law enforcement and their private investigator solves this without having to divulge everything to the media. It is a terrible, traumatizing experience that I hope they don't have to go through. I hope that this case can be solved without them having to put themselves in the public eye, because, like I said, it's not fun, and it can affect every area of your life. I can tell you that firsthand. On to our hero of the episode. I made it Trinity for reporting Isabella missing right away. I think that is fantastic. Unfortunately, we don't have the exact time of that, but it seems that Isabella didn't pick her up for work. Trinity knew something was wrong and reported her missing to police. I think that, we've talked about this before, but it's really like best case scenario for a missing persons case to be reported as soon as possible. So Trinity, if you're out there listening, you are our hero of the episode. Last but not least, I know that this was a shorter episode, but I do want to make time and space for these cases too, without kind of diverting them to a mini-sode. I feel like this one was kind of in between, where between the after show, between the main show, we could make it a full-length episode. So I hope that you guys understand, and for lack of a better word, enjoy this format. You guys know that my goal with this podcast is to be, or I should say to have, as few limitations as possible. In need of justice, I would love to cover it as a main episode that everybody can listen to, where the 100% focus is on the victim. I will also say, for those of you that enjoy the deeper dives, I do have a few coming up for you. I'm working on 2 cases that will be multiple parts, extreme deep dives. One is a pretty well-known case that I've been wanting to cover for a long time that tons of you have asked me to cover. And the other one is one that I've been working on for almost 2 years at this point. It is virtually unknown. Law enforcement reached out to me directly for coverage. I am interviewing people. I am trying to get it all together. And I think that you guys are really going to find these cases compelling. And again, get back to that deep dive format. I do like to play around a bit, right? Like have the shorter episodes where, I tell you everything we know. There's just not a lot out there. And then going deep into these more, well-known cases. And again, in another instance, a case that's never been seen before, but I was given access to the case files. So again, a large variety coming up for you guys. But let's go on to our segment of hope. This comes from ABC7 out of Los Angeles, and the title reads, "More than 25 years after a missing woman was found dead in Victorville, an arrest has been made." The article reads, Suzanne Seitz Fenton was last seen in April 2001 after leaving her jobs at Mervyn's to take a break, according to detectives. Her husband reported her missing when she didn't come home that night. The following day, her car was found abandoned, and her body was discovered. She had been kidnapped, sexually assaulted, and shot. Cold case homicide detectives recently identified the suspect as Raymond Silva Gonzalez, age 51. He is arrested and he is being held without bail, and we do not have any further details. But this makes our segment of hope for obvious reasons. It's been 25 years, which, as you know, is a pretty special number to me right now. And I think it just goes to show, and I feel like I say this all the time, and I'm kind of like a broken record at this point, but even, with the passage of time and, cases, like I've never heard of this case. Maybe you have, right? But, I think cases, no matter the level of media attention, no matter the passage of time, can still get solved. But as always, thank you, I love you, and I'll talk to you next time.